All right, guys, so let's jump on to the rest of our weekly programming review. First up is NXT, and as always, we'll kind of give our initial thoughts and kind of break down some of the highlights from the show. Richard, what'd you think of this week's episode of NXT?
I thought it was better than last week's, and I thought last week's was pretty good.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump ahead to something I typically do at the end of the episode.
Okay.
But, Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai stole the week for me in terms of best match. That was like such a stellar opening match for NXT.
Yeah, it was hard hitting.
Yeah, what'd you think of Rhea Ripley's new
blonde hair,
bleach blonde hairdo?
Yeah,
I thought it looked pretty awesome.
It's a good look
she
for
did
her.
An electric chair drop to Dakota outside the ring to the side of the ring that just looked nasty.
Yeah. It's and this match, it was for what number one contendership for
Io Shirai's women's title
at Takeover coming up in a couple weeks. So it's interesting. So the Dakota Kai eventually got the victory with the help of Mercedes Martinez coming in and kicking Rhea Ripley
and giving the victory to Dakota Kai.
So Dakota Kai finally is going to get her title shot post turning heel since last November. So it's good for her. Dakota Kai
well deserved.
Yeah, I mean the point of this whole heel turn, I think, was for her to enter that top echelon. Is that the right term?
Echelon.
There we go. I was going to say shlong.
Top
shlong.
Hey now.
Echelon of the women's division for NXT. So I'm really happy for her. So once again, just proving why that heel turn was necessary for her and her character. But unfortunately, I'm just kind of, for Rhea Ripley, I just kind of feel like she's just been kind of post WrestleMania.
You can't be on top forever.
True.
Charlotte's had her ups and downs, so it's Rhea is always going to be able to bounce back. That's the thing with Rhea; she's dependable. So it's she needs to help make the other stars now, like Charlotte has.
Yeah. I'm just, not to jump ahead to SmackDown already, but it was announced the three brands going at it for let's see, Bayley's title. Yeah, for SummerSlam for Bayley's title. So I wonder if Rhea Ripley's going to be in that match. So we'll get to that later on in this episode here. But also the triple threat match for another spot in the ladder match at TakeOver for the North American Championship, the vacant title. Damian Priest, big victory over Oney Lorcan, and Ridge Holland, who I think a lot of people know from NXT UK, but he made his NXT Prime. I think that's what some people like to call it, the main NXT show, making his debut. And Richard, what'd you think of Ridge Holland coming into NXT territory now?
He reminds me of a wrestler like before television. It's kind of awesome to see something like that. He actually debuted on NXT under his real name. His last name, I think, is Menzies.
Yeah.
And like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he's impressive. Then he had a good look, still has a good look, but he's put a lot of his skill together now really quickly, and just very impressed with that match. It was great.
Was it Tommy? He was a former rugby player. And dude, you could tell. Look at his thighs and quads, hamstrings. Look how big they are. I was just like, dude, he could probably power lift the entire roster on his back.
I mean, they look like redwood trees.
Totally. So even though I was kind of worried, like, okay, he's making his re-debut in this triple threat, and I kind of felt Damian Priest was going to get the victory because he's been kind of getting a push. So it's like, why would you get a debut and ultimately lose? So
he got the show off.
Yeah, so he got to be, and he didn't take the pin. So, and which, as we saw later on, William Regal announced, okay, so Dexter Lumis is out with the ankle injury. So is that kayfabe or is that a shoot? Like, he really is legit injured?
I think it's kayfabe.
Okay.
I think it's kayfabe because I kind of felt like something like this would happen because they didn't announce all the triple threat matches.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to, like, we're going to give everyone a second shot because they typically do that.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing that kind of bummed me out because I was like, a couple weeks ago when we first heard this announcement, I was like, oh, wow, we're going to see potentially 15 contestants, 5 triple threat matches. Unfortunately, it's not going to play out like that. So it was announced, okay, Dexter Lumis is out, and next week's triple threat, which with Kushida, who else? Let's see, Kushida, Cameron Grimes, and there's a mystery opponent. and the winner of that will go on to the ladder match. And then the last 2 spots. Now, I know this is getting a little convoluted, so please stick with me, people. So the people in the previous matches, qualifying matches, who did not get pinned or submitted are going to have singles or one-on-one matches to fill up those last 2 spots. So I know it's a lot to keep track of. We'll just tune in to NXT every week, and they'll remind us of where we're at on that timeline of storytelling for that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
wrestling fans are smart.
Yeah, we'll get Gargano, Finn Balor, and then Ridge Holland taking on whoever doesn't get pinned in the Kushida Cameron Grimes mystery opponent match, it looks like, and then the winner of those 2 matches will move on. So, yeah, we'll just let them keep reminding that. That's a lot to keep track of. So, but I'm still excited I'm really looking forward to a ladder match, because I think ladder match is North American title. It's always been a fun combo so far. Keith Lee came out, the NXT champion, taking on Cameron Grimes, which is a continuation from last week. Pretty one-sided. Keith Lee, I just like his demeanor. He was like pissed off. Still, I think, Karrion Kross is on his mind.
I think it was a fun match. I mean, I thought the way Cameron Grimes was just buying time, getting out of the ring, just taking his time. That's good ring psychology on his part. And then, he tried to take it to Keith Lee, but he was just no match for Keith Lee. And Keith Lee just squashed him like a bug.
Yeah, so it was great. And then ultimately, we saw Scarlett come out. Am I correct, Richard? Is that what was next? Scarlett.
Right.
And then Karrion Kross eyeballs on the screen and pretty much says like he hasn't met William Regal since he's joined NXT, and he knows Keith Lee can call shots or make things happen, and he wants a championship match for the title, and if he doesn't get his way, he's gonna pretty much
wreak havoc
on the whole roster. And we kind of saw that. Oney Lorcan was laying on the ground.
He had Danny Burch in a headlock.
And Richard, what do you think of just that execution of that scene, as far as black and white, and they zoom out and he turns around and he starts walking away, and just like the bodies on the floor? I loved it. It was just the imagery was amazing.
I love the controlled chaos, and it's beautiful.
It's a path of his destruction.
Just beautiful.
Yeah. It's oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they're gonna do this, like Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross. Like, I mean, who's gonna win here? I don't know. Like, I don't know who I want to win. Like, I'm torn just because I love both guys. So, but yeah, we're eventually, I'm sure, gonna get the announcement at some point. William Regal will make it somehow.
But he's got a match next week, or this coming week, against
Danny Burch.
Danny Burch, yes.
Yeah. So a little payback, but yeah, we know Karrion Kross is gonna murder him.
He's gonna destroy him.
So, and then next up, Richard's favorite group that he loves to pronounce. Do you want to pronounce it, Richard?
Legato Del Fantasma?
Legato Del Fantasma.
Is that your Cameron Grimes impression?
Yeah, it was like Cameron Grimes.
How he would pronounce it?
But
it's Grimes times, baby.
Yeah. So they pretty much beat up Breezango and
Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, and then
whatever.
Santos Escobar.
Santos Escobar, yeah.
Which, by the way, dude, that gold jacket was amazing.
Stylish.
Like, dude, Richard, like, I would love to see him wear that jacket all the time. Just like, dude, he was money wearing that. It's
pretty good.
That was great. But
he looked like Gianni Versace with that jacket on.
Totally. But he looks great. Like, it's amazing, these guys. I know they wear masks and they're luchador stuff, but when they take the mask off and they wear like the nice clothes, like, dude, they just look like a badass faction.
They just look sharp as a tack,
And he pretty much just warns Isaiah Scott to look out. So obviously setting up that's going to be his next opponent for the Cruiserweight Championship. And I hate to say it, I mean, poor Swerve, he's going to probably get laid out by them. So I like this. Like, okay, Richard, let me ask you this. Going back to like Finn Balor, when he was Prince Devitt, formed the Bullet Club over in New Japan, he wasn't the IWGP champion. He was the junior heavyweight champion. Am I right?
Yeah, he was never heavyweight champion.
Yeah, so I kind of like, I guess I'm loosely trying to make this comparison as far as Escobar and Legado del Fantasma. Like, they're becoming a dominated faction, but at the expense, or not expense, that's not the right word, but they're using the NXT Cruiserweight Championship as their source of power, like why they're a dominant force. They do have a title around them to kind of back it up. So, like I said, I'm loosely comparing Prince Devitt IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Bullet Club, this group with Escobar, the Cruiserweight Championships. That's where I'm just kind of make the connections. I think that's kind of cool as far as adding some extra value to the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. You know what I mean?
It's a good comparison.
Yeah, I think it's just a way of like giving that title a more prestige. Like this faction is protecting that title, and I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
And let's see, jump ahead. Let's see. Tegan Nox defeats Indy Hartwell. Unfortunately, I don't know about you guys, but that was kind of overshadowed by Pat McAfee, who came out during his honeymoon to sit commentary. Richard, what'd you think of Pat McAfee? So he called the last 2 matches of the night, and so what'd you think of his appearance overall? As far, I guess,
he's done it before.
Yeah.
For takeover stuff and takeover pre-shows. So
he did SmackDown too. Remember when everyone was stuck overseas, Saudi Arabia, coming back? He made the call wearing jorts, doing commentary ringside on that.
Hey,
SmackDown
that's his
episode.
style, man.
Yes. So unfortunately,
I mean, I'm fine with it. There's worse announcers in that company, so.
Oh yeah. So he was kind of, just doing his thing, kind of becoming more the cocky heel announcer, and then the main event we saw Undisputed Era taking on Imperium for the NXT Championship. So a little bit of a callback to Worlds Collide earlier this year. So we saw
a very unprofessional place you guys got here.
Who said that?
Didn't McAfee said that?
Oh yeah. Dude, but like he on commentary, he was total heel and just calling out people and just making fun of stuff. But I mean, I love seeing Undisputed Era taking on Imperium, but unfortunately, it was more about just Pat McAfee talking S to Adam Cole, who was ringside, and he was like, what, 10, 15, 20 feet away?
About 10 feet,
and Adam Cole's like, turns around, I can hear you talking to me, and ultimately it led to...
and Beth Phoenix walked out, and Mara walked out, and,
I did like how the flow of the match itself was really fast-paced. Kyle O'Reilly hasn't been in the ring since the pandemic broke out, and he looked pretty ripped, and that uppercut powerbomb thing that Imperium does looks so cool.
I know.
But like they kept the way they were cutting the match and then going to Adam Cole and Pat McAfee was just so quick. It was really good. Mm-hmm. Just like don't look away from the TV. There's something going on there. There's something going on here. So
it was a lot to keep track of, and ultimately, Imperium got the win. I'm just glad to see Imperium Wrestling defend those titles. They've been kind of a little bit falling to the sideline a little bit, not as on TV as much. And I don't know, like honestly, I see Imperium, and it just reminds me how much I miss seeing Walter, which I'm wearing my Walter shirt right now. But I miss Walter, and I know because of the pandemic, he can't fly. He's overseas at home. I miss Walter so much. I wish, like, I don't know, get him doing, just send some videos, like selfie videos, like checking in, like.
Well, they did that for NXT UK. So they did like the wrestlers sending in these videos to talk about some of their favorite matches or moments. So they have been doing that. It's just,
I know.
NXT UK doesn't get promoted the best over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I was like, oh man, it's tough already watching all these other shows. Like NXT UK, like I might watch the go home show before their takeovers and the Fallout shows post takeover. But yeah, I do miss Walter on NXT. I mean, hopefully he can do something. I just do some more crossover. Just remind people that Walter is still there, and that Imperium is part of a 4-man faction, and it's just not the 2 of them per se.
And who's the other guy in the group?
Wolf, Alexander Wolf.
Yeah, more of him.
I don't know where he's at. Is he overseas?
He's overseas.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's German.
Yeah, he's in what, Austria or Germany?
Germany.
Yeah. Okay.
So the other 2 guys in Imperium, they must live in Florida then?
I guess.
Because I don't know how they were able to get over here.
Or Ridge Holland.
Yeah.
How'd he get over here,
I don't know. Vince McMahon has power. He can make people get
he has a private jet
cross borders
to come, I don't know.
But they had the Pat McAfee, Adam Cole starting to get into it. We saw Triple H, Shawn Michaels coming out trying to break it up. And ultimately it led to the punt heard around the world. Pat McAfee, who is a former NFL punter for the Indianapolis Colts, drop kick Adam Cole in the head, knocked him out cold. Richard,
and he really sold it.
Yeah,
really
your thoughts on just that ending segment of the night?
I mean, I was expecting a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's stiff kick, but I've seen it. So I thought there was going to be a little more back and forth, but I'm expecting a super kick to Pat McAfee before their TakeOver match.
Okay, so it's official. They are going to take on each other at TakeOver. Richard, let me ask you this. Are you excited for this matchup? Because I've seen people on both sides on social media over the last few days since this is made official. Because Adam Cole...
I have no expectations because I've never seen Pat McAfee outside of WWE. So I have no idea what the guy is like as an athlete.
True.
If he was in the NFL, I expect he's going to be somewhat of a good athlete.
Tough guy, yeah.
He could easily come in there and do the Steve Mongo McMichaels thing and just be clumsy as hell. So
it's interesting.
To me, I'm going in with no expectation.
Okay, and that's probably the best way to go at it at this point. A rumor is he has a ring at his house, and I guess he might have been doing some training on his own.
I think he say about like Rip Rogers trained him a bit or helped him
something like that. Yeah, he referenced on his show.
Yeah,
and he is a former athlete. I know he's just a punter, and punters and kickers are looked a little bit down upon compared to the other position players in the NFL. But nonetheless, he played in the NFL. He is somewhat of a tough SOB, so he probably knows how to take a hit or a bump at least. I'm just a little bit torn because Adam Cole, here he is, the former NXT champion, the longest reigning champion ever, and his first match post losing the title is against Pat McAfee. It's not someone else on the roster. It's not,
but it's a celebrity,
and that's the thing. It's it's a celebrity.
I think you're looking at it a little too critically.
That's true, and then that's
it's a. I mean, I don't know who the guy is outside of WWE, but I'm aware that he's a name somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, especially if he's got a show that he's going to be advertising it for, you got to imagine that there might be some people that are going to tune in because they're curious as to what Pat's going to do. And, that's the same whenever any of these athletes or people outside of wrestling come in.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where I look at it as we'll probably want to use Pat McAfee's star power to help promote NXT, help promote TakeOver, maybe reach an audience that they didn't tap into before, some sporting fans, some other casual fans. So that's where I'm kind of looking at, like his social media following, his radio show, the other components that his exposure of his name can bring to the table. I get that. And so I guess it's a way to keep Adam Cole occupied until they probably figure out what the next rivalry for him to get into. And who knows, maybe Pat McAfee might surprise us and be good in the ring, and it could be a legit like contending match and they actually can go for a bit, or could it be one-sided? I mean, these celebrity matches have been hit or miss. Some can be really good, some can be really bad, some can be like Jay Leno and
there's this. I think the spectrum is Jay Leno and Ronda Rousey's debut.
Yes. Or was it D'Angelo Williams? Was it with that? Was that in TNA or
you're thinking about Adam Pac-Man Jones?
Adam Pac-Man Jones, he was great too. So anyway, there's a kind of wide range of non-wrestlers competing in the ring and how well they can perform.
Karl Malone.
Yeah, Karl Malone. So I like I said,
can't all be David Arquette.
Yes, but I want to see that trailer. I haven't watched it yet for his documentary.
Looks great.
Okay, I gotta check it out. But no,
listeners, go find David Arquette's trailer.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna have low expectations like you, Richard, because I don't know necessarily what to expect. And now here they are, got a couple weeks left for the build up to this. So,
and plus, you realize when Triple H shoves you, that should be a moment you realize you screwed up.
Yeah. Papa H is coming after you, and Shawn Michaels just
aiding to Adam Cole, checking on him, see if he's all right.
Checking on his son.
Checking on his son, his illegitimate son.
Okay. So anyway, just a very fun episode of NXT. And so, here we are on the road to TakeOver coming up in a couple weeks.